Hey yo, you tuned in to Create Force, where we create and dominate. That's Kai Billings. I'm Mike Sarge, and everyone pretty much knows what it's like being a first time leader or someone being thrown into that supervisory role for the first time. What were some of like the rookie mistakes that either you made as a new supervisor or someone just in a leadership role, or ones that you've seen other people commonly make?
First one, right off the bat, holding people accountable.
Mm,
Like, I would say this is something I definitely struggled with as I'd say LT at about my 3 year mark. It's just trying to do the right thing, but finding a balance of not being too harsh and not being too easy. I would say I probably was on the more relaxed side for the longest time. Uh, and it ruffled a lot of feathers. Like, was not helping myself out one bit, to the point where even my SEL, when I was PCing back to the wing, was terrified to get me. So, like, right off the bat, holding people accountable, it might be uncomfortable at first. You just got to do it, because you got to just put in the work and get stuff done.
yeah.
But
No, that's
for,
true. Matter of fact, like I'm gonna double down on the accountability, and I'm just gonna rephrase it a different way.
yeah,
Um, a common mistake that I see is people trying to be everyone's friend. Like, I get it too. Like while building, I think me and you both understand this. Like, because building rapport is important. Like, don't get us wrong, it's important. But like trying too hard to be liked, it can undermine your authority, honestly, and make it harder to really like reinforce the standards, the rules, and to your point, ultimately hold people accountable. So I'm going to double down on that one. And I think the other one I think is micromanaging. I think
yeah,
that sometimes when you're a new leader, when you're a new supervisor, you almost have this need to feel like you have to be in control because you feel like you want to do everything right the first time, or you just want to like show others that you can do this thing. You got a little bit of imposter syndrome, so you're like, hey, I can do it. I got this new rank now, so I got to start acting like that I deserve it. And honestly, what ends up happening is when you end up thinking that or feel the need to control everything, you end up frustrating everyone else that works with you.
yeah,
um it just frustrates everyone else because you're constantly over their shoulder, constantly asking them questions all the time for things that like you just walked away 30 minutes ago, and now you're back at their desk asking them for progress. They're like, yo, we just talked about this. And honestly, you're at the same time you're preventing them from growing, and taking ownership of their work, when you feel like you're always the one that has to have their hands or their fingerprints over everything. So for me, those are the two that come to mind, like just right off the bat. But I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
man, I love the being friends comment because the number of times because there's really two types of, I would say, mid to senior officers and two types of senior NCOs. And they're the ones that you respect. They're friendly, but not your friend, and just are on the straight and narrow. And then there are the ones that just try to be your friend. And to all those out there that might be them, uh, read the room first. Pretty weird sometimes. Like if you're a 0405 or you're an E7 to E9 and you're trying to be friends with like an E30 or an E4 or an O1, like that's just weird.
Yeah,
Like that's pretty weird.
yeah,
Um, like most normal places, you don't go to a bar and find someone like 10 to 15 years younger than you are and just start chatting that. Like that is weird. On a different note, one thing as a supervisor I learned was tough that some people forget is just communication.
mm,
Like communication's an easy mistake as a supervisor.
yeah,
And what I mean by that is that when you are the system, you have to communicate in a way that is really in unison with everybody else, above you or where the direction is coming. And if you communicate in a way where you're just either saying like, hey, don't shoot the messenger, it's them, not me, and you're protecting yourself, not cool. I've seen supervisors do that. Not the way to communicate. or if it's just the easy like forward with zero digestion to help your team understand, also foul. Like really as a supervisor, you start to shift into to a point where you have to reframe how you think, and you have to look at your boss's decisions, put yourself in their shoes, figure out what they had to weigh to come to that conclusion, and then figure out how to put it in your words to communicate to your team in a way that they can understand. And so many supervisors take a while to figure that one out. And it turns into a lot of speed bumps in an organization that could have been pretty easily avoidable.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that something that goes just right in line with what you just said is when you're talking about communication, we're really talking about like you have to, when you communicate or fail to communicate, let's say fail, when you fail to communicate, it's pretty hard for you to set clear expectations and standards. Like when you don't, when there's no clear communication about like goals or responsibilities, um, oftentimes, at least teams that I've been on or in organizations that I've been in, like it generally brings confusion. It brings confusion. It leads to people getting frustrated, and ultimately, in some cases, you end up with low productivity from people on
Yeah.
your team. So when you talk about that communication piece, like I'm 100% with you. And then like something else that came to my mind, like as you were talking, is the need to, and this is something that I wish I kind of learned earlier, which is like setting boundaries, setting professional boundaries, not just for the people that are under you, people that are above you, is important. So maybe it could be as small as like, hey guys, when I come in, give me 30 minutes to just get set up and get situated before I get thrown hit with questions, right? Like small things like that, setting boundaries so that you're the most productive, you're as productive as you can be, but also you still have an open door policy, and you don't come off like you don't want people by you or around you. I think that's just as important as well when we talk about being a leader and being someone that's like managing or supervising other people.
Oh, yeah, man. And I think all of these things kind of hint at you have to figure out your system as a supervisor.
Yeah.
Like if you're the kind of person that needs an extra half hour before you talk to people, show up a half hour early. If you're the kind of person that needs info a couple days in advance to read before the meeting, ask for that.